Hey there, everybody. Surely everyone knows what a Kinder Milk Slice is, right? Today, we decided to make one on a truly unimaginable scale. But first, let's open it up and see what it's made of. Here, we see 2 chocolate biscuits and a bunch of cream. It's obviously very tasty, but the cream is a little chemically. Let's go to the store. We decided to split the purchase up into 2 stages. Today, we're doing the first. We'll buy all the groceries we need to make huge biscuits. The first thing we need is chicken eggs, as many as 840 of them. The next thing we'll need is sugar. This will take up to 30 kilograms. 11 kilograms of cocoa powder. 2 kilograms of baking powder. 25 kilograms of flour, 13 liters of oil. With all this, we're headed to the checkout. First purchase cost us $245. Now we'll cook the biscuits in our huge oven. But we need to preheat it so it has time to warm up. Now we open up the boxes of eggs. We take out 2 trays and put them on the lower part of the table. We need 420 eggs for 1 batch. We put 2 containers on the table, one smaller, the other bigger. Now we take the eggs and separate the yolks from the whites. It took us about 1.5 hours to separate all the eggs. Done. We set the egg whites aside for now. We take the sugar, open it, and pour 15 kilograms into the yolks. Now, using a cement mixer, we beat the yolks into the sugar until the whole mixture turns white. Now we take 6 liters of oil, open it, and fill her up. If we use any less, our biscuit just won't hold its shape the way we need it to. Then we mix well. Ready for our next step. We need 5.5 kilograms of cocoa powder. We open it and pour it out. And now we mix. It takes another 20 minutes or so to mix it all up, and we're left with a very thick dough. Now, we need to carefully pour in 6.5 liters of boiling water. We'll mix this in so that the dough thins out a bit. Done. Now we need flour. We'll start by pouring in the first 5.5 kilograms. And mix it up. Then we'll add another 7.5 kilograms. Now we add in another kilogram of baking powder. And we get a nice, even dough. Our pot is filled to the brim, so we'll take a big wash basin and move our dough into it. Now let's take our egg whites and pour some of them into another saucepan. We tried beating them with our industrial mixer, but it didn't work out. I guess it's pretty impossible to beat that many egg whites into a dense mixture. So we decided to use a self-mixer that does everything itself. Let's pour a little bit of the egg whites into each of them. And turn it on. the process has started. After about 5 minutes, we get this foam. That means it's time to add sugar. We'll mix this for another 2 minutes, and then we can move these whipped egg whites into the chocolate dough. Now let's carefully mix it with a spatula so that none of the air bubbles come out of the whipped mixture. We're going to load in our next portion of egg whites. Move it back to the bowl and mix. As a result, you're going to have a really lush dough. With the second half already in the basin, we do the same thing. Now our biscuit dough is ready. But what do we bake it in? We got help from a friend in a workshop. They drafted up a drawing on a computer, which sends the blueprint to a huge machine that uses a laser to cut out the desired piece of sheet metal. We take our piece of metal from the machine and cut out the places for bends with a grinder. Now we bend the edges until we get a box shape formed. Then all the seams are welded together, and we're left with a giant baking sheet. Now we pour oil all over it and smear it around with a brush. We take out some parchment and cover the baking sheet with it. Thanks to the oil, our parchment will stick well to the sheet. So we cover the whole thing. Done. Now we pour out dough onto it and level it out. Done. We transfer the baking sheet into the oven and push it in. We'll bake this for 4 hours at 180 degrees. Then we turn off the oven and leave the biscuit in there until morning, so it has time to set and thicken. The next morning, we take it out. It's risen a little and completely baked. Now we need to make sure the tender part of the biscuit is at the top. We figured out the best way to do it is by applying plywood to the top and 2 planks to the sides. We'll fix these together tightly with clamps. We want to remove the baking sheet for now, so we put another piece of plywood on the table with 4 bricks on it and turn the whole thing over. We remove the clamps and gently lift off the baking sheet. We end up with a beautiful biscuit that weighs as much as 50 kilograms. And it only took 2 days to prepare it. We'll set it aside for now. Now we need to knead the dough for another identical biscuit. Load it all into the oven, close the doors, and the next morning we have another biscuit, just as beautiful as the first one. It's time to go pick up the groceries to make the cream. The first thing we need is a lot of condensed milk. 6 2-liter packages of milk, an unrealistic amount of Amish cheese, 80 kilograms. We'll need agar-agar. We took 200 packages. 2 kilograms of vanilla sugar. 3 5-liter jugs of water. We take all this to the checkout and bag it all up. Our second check came out to $506. We put the Amish cheese that we bought onto the table and open them up. We had 80 kilograms of Amish cheese. All this needs to be ground up, and preferably quickly. We remove the front plate from the mixer and attach the meat grinder to it, and the saucer on top. We open another plate and attach the blender. We take a package of cheese, open it, and pour part of it into the blender and the other part into the meat grinder. We close the blender and put a saucepan below the grinder and turn on the mixer. While we are pushing the cheese through the meat grinder, the blender is taking care of everything on its own. The only help it needs is to periodically move out the cheese curds. We ground it all using 6 hands until the cheese runs out. 3 hours later, we have a whole pan of this cheesy mass. We take the tub of water and move the cheese mass into it. We open the vanilla sugar and pour it in. Now we just need the condensed milk. We open a bottle and pour the whole thing into the mixture. We made sure to buy extra, so there's a lot left. Now we use the industrial mixer to mix the cheese with the milk. We're left with a creamy mass. We take 3 jugs with water in a saucepan. Open the water and pour it out. Now we take agar-agar, open it, and pour all 200 packets into the water. For now, just mix the agar-agar and leave to soak for 30 minutes. We cut off part of the roll of industrial foil with a grinder and wrap it around the bottom biscuit in a circle. We fix all this together with tape. And to keep it all even tighter, we will also attach the boards on the sides with the same adhesive tape. It turned out to be such a good form for filling the cream that it doesn't spread. Put a saucepan with water and agar-agar on the stove. Boil for 2 minutes and pour in hot milk. Mix well. This liquid will make the cheesy mass harden, and that way it won't be crushed under the weight of the second biscuit. Pour half into one basin and mix well. Now the second half. While the filling has not started to thicken, we quickly transfer it to the biscuits. Level the filling and leave it to cool overnight. The next morning, the cream is hardened. We remove the foil framework. We had a very tall layer of cream turn out. Finally, the big moment. All that remains is to put the second biscuit on the cream. Done. We finally made a Kinder Milk slice. All it took was 6 days. After calculating the weight of the groceries we bought, we found out that our huge dessert weighs as much as 210 kilograms and costs $766. Let's cut off a piece. Hey everybody, in the video we did with the huge bounty, I asked, which candy bar do you want me to blow up next? Most chose Twix. Well, let's cook the most gigantic Twix. First, let's see what's inside it. We open it up. Cut it, and we see a layer of cookies, then caramel, and milk chocolate on the outside. Now let's go to the store. The first thing we need is condensed milk. More precisely, it is an unrealistically large amount of condensed milk. We need 215 cans. We also take a lot of powdered sugar, 6 boxes. We need 55 kilograms of flour, 3 boxes of margarine, 12 bottles of eggs, and there are 20 eggs in each bottle. And of course, milk chocolate. That's it. With 2 fully filled carts, we go to the checkout. Our purchase came out to $574. It's not very cheap, but we're preparing a huge Twix. First, let's prepare the cookies for our Twix. We take 16 packs of margarine in a large saucepan. We open the margarine, and dump it into the saucepan. We filled it to the top. Just put that on the stove and wait until all the margarine melts and becomes liquid. To knead a lot of dough, we take a huge basin like this. You need 30 kilograms of flour. We open the packages with scissors. And pour out all the flour. Take the melted margarine off the stove and pour it out. We take the boxes of powdered sugar, open them, and 1.5 boxes are sent into the basin. All we have left to do is add 120 eggs, or 6 bottles of eggs. To mix all this up well, we use an industrial standing mixer. The dough is very thick, and your hands get tired from holding the mixer, but nevertheless, everything's ready. The Twix sticks will be made in these iron forms. First, pour a little oil inside. Smear it around on the walls. And cover that with parchment. Done. We lower the forms to the floor. We put the dough directly into the mold with our hands. We line everything up. And we've already filled out one form. Now you need to repeat the same thing with the second one. Done. We put the forms of the dough in our huge oven. We close the doors and turn on the burners. Our cookies will be cooked all night at 190 degrees. We swapped the molds places during the night because the burners are cooking faster in spaces. As it seemed to us in the morning, everything's ready. We put a sheet of plywood on top and turn it over. But then the worst thing happened. It turns out our cookies were not baked at all night. Of course, we were upset, but we did everything again. This time the cookies were baked all day and all night. Naturally, during such a long cooking time, the top was burnt. But it's not a problem. With the help of knives, we remove the upper burnt layer. Done. The cookies are cleaned. The open part on top will be the bottom of the Twix. We take a small part of the chocolate that we bought. We take 2 bowls and just crush the chocolates on the table. Open them and pour out the shards into a bowl. We continue this until they fill the bowl with a heap. We put all this into a steam bath. And when the chocolate began to melt and decrease in volume, we realized that this wouldn't be enough. We take another batch of chocolate and fill a bigger bowl with it. And we also send that to the steam bath. We bring the molds into the studio. The first batch of chocolate is already melted. Pour 2 bowls on top of the cookies. And we distribute the chocolate. Pour a large bowl of chocolate into the second mold. And we distribute that. After a very long time, the chocolate finally set. We put a sheet of plywood on top and turn over the cookies for Twix. We remove the stuck parchment. And this time the cookies turned out to be just awesome. With the help of putty, Dad smears the inner corners of the mold so that it becomes more rounded. Then we cover everything with parchment. We transfer them to the studio, and the next stage begins, the caramel for the Twix. For the caramel, powdered sugar is needed, and just an unreal amount of condensed milk. We open the packages, take out 5 cans, and open them. We will cook in 2 pans at once. We open 10 cans. Pour the condensed milk into the pans. Add a ladle of powdered sugar. And cook it all over medium heat until a brown caramel turns out. We send that into the mold. We will repeat this process a ridiculous number of times. We cooked the caramel, and the condensed milk burned down very slowly. In total, we cooked the caramel for 9 hours. We fill the caramel into the third of the molds. That should be enough. We line it up. Now the caramel has been in the freezer all night. We take it out, pull it out of the mold, and place it on top of the cookies. We remove all the stuck parchment from the caramel. Now we take all the chocolate that we bought, and even found dark chocolate after the last videos. We put a hefty saucepan on the table, and break all the chocolates right into it. Done. Now we take 3 smaller bowls and fill them with the chocolate pieces. We put them into a steam bath to melt. Done. The chocolate melted and became a liquid. Now let's pour this on top of the bar. We smear all this around the spatula so that the chocolate layer turns out to be even. We pour out all the melted chocolate. And fill the bowls with chocolate again. We melt it, and we try to fix all the blemishes on it. For the final filling, we add oil, and mix it well. Thanks to this, our chocolate will spread very beautifully and be glossy. Fill it in. Now we go around with a spatula, and with a spoon we make characteristic grooves on top. The second Twix stick is also covered. And we make our grooves. When the chocolate is set, our giant Twix is ready. It weighs 220 kilograms. It took 5 days to prepare it, and there are 1,078,000 calories in it. That's crazy how much. Let's finally cut into it. Yes, there's not enough chocolate, but nevertheless, it looks like a Twix. We try a piece. It's very tasty, and it really looks like a Twix. And if you want us to cook another huge bar, then give us those lights. This video needs to get 350,000 likes. Choose in the comments what we'll blow up next: Skittles, a Lion Bar, or nuts. But that's not all. I fought in a culinary battle against Dad. We cooked huge ostrich legs. So follow the link in the description and see who won. See you, everybody!